Hello everyone, you're welcome to another wonderful week again. I hope you enjoyed your weekend because I actually did. You're welcome. This morning we'll be talking about social studies in religion and national values. Social studies in religion and national values. And the topic we'll be looking at today is environmental pollution. Environmental pollution. We'll be focusing on land pollution. That's what we want to focus on this week. As the week continues, we'll talk about other types of environmental pollution. So you're welcome to class, and I'm so excited to have you. So let's go to our objective for this class. At the end of this class, I expect you to be able to define environmental pollution. You should be able to mention the types of environmental pollution, and then you should be able to explain land pollution, and you should be able to give the effects of land pollution. Like I said, we'll be dwelling more on land pollution today, but I'll tell you the types of pollution that we have, the types of environmental pollutions we have, and then we'll dwell on land pollution. So I want you to pay close attention to the class as we'll be learning something special and new this week. Now let's go to what is environmental pollution. You can see the picture I have here. What does it tell you? What does the picture show you? What can you deduce from the picture? It shows that there are deaths everywhere. Okay, let's now go to the definition of environmental pollution. Environmental pollution simply means to make something or somewhere dirty or impure. To make something or somewhere dirty or impure. That is what we call environmental pollution. Example, when stew oil pours on water, that water is polluted or impure. If you pour stew oil on water, you will not be able to drink that water again. That water has been polluted. So that is what we call environmental pollution. You can also see from the picture that I have here, it can also pollute not just water, you can also pollute the land. You can see the where dirt, refuse has been poured very close to the road. It's an hazard. It's an environmental pollution. So as the class continues, you'll be seeing a lot of environmental pollutions, the types that we have, and then we'll be talking about the land pollution. Now, let's look at this stuff. Like it says, types of environmental pollution. We want to look at the types now. So I don't know if somebody can just tell me one or two from definition and from the picture that you've seen. Can you just tell me one type of environmental pollution? Okay, I've been talking about land. So land is one of the types of environmental pollution. And then I said something about when stew oil pours on what? On water. So water is also an example of, or a type of environmental pollution. So I will show you all the types of environmental pollution we have on the next slide. Now let's look at the 4 types of environmental pollution that we have. Now there are 4 types. The first one is land pollution that we'll be discussing this week. Then we have water pollution, air pollution, and noise pollution. I'll go over it again. Land pollution, water pollution, air pollution, and noise pollution. So I'll be talking about these pollutions one after the other. And like I said, we are starting with land pollution. Now you can tell me, what is land pollution? From the word land pollution, and I've told you the first slide that pollution, environmental pollution means making somewhere or something dirty or impure. Now we're talking about the land pollution. It simply means making the land dirty or impure. Making what? The land dirty or bad or not good enough for anything, maybe for cultivation or for any other thing. That is what we mean when we say land pollution. You can see this place. There's no way we can plant anything in this place. There's no way we can build. Before we can do anything here, we have to do a lot of removal of waste materials before we can do anything tangible there. So we can see that this place has been polluted with dirt, refuse, dustbin. Yes, it has been polluted. So that is an example of a picture of a land that has been polluted. If you go around Lagos State, for example, because I said Lagos State because that is where we live in, okay, or maybe Ogun State, for example, you see a lot of places that have been abandoned. What do they do there? They dump refuse there. So those places will not be good enough for any other thing except the things that have been deposited there are removed. And when those things are removed, that's when they can build, or they can convert it to a place where they can plant or do any other thing. So land pollution is when you make a place bad, a land bad and dirty. It may not just be as bad as this. It may be very close to your house, or maybe your compound, your environment. You just finish eating your biscuits, you just throw the nylon on the floor. It's part of land pollution. You just throw your biscuit nylon, your sweet nylon in the parlor. You just throw your tissue paper, your cotton board, your cotton wool anywhere around the house. You're also part of what we call making that environment dirty, and it's also part of land pollution. Now, how can land be polluted? There are different ways land can be polluted. Different ways. Now, dumping of refuse anywhere on the ground. Look at this picture now. I've shown you the picture before, but I'm showing you again. Look at this picture. How can they pour dirt very close to the road where people are passing? It's an eyesore. People look at it and it's an embarrassment to the nation. It shouldn't be. There should be a very segregated place, or a secluded place that there are people who dumps their refuse. But you can see, very close to the road. This can cause a lot of things. By the time I talk about the effects of land pollution, you understand. This can cause a lot of things. One of them is disease and sickness outbreak. Yes, it can cause it. So, dumping of refuse everywhere on the ground. Like I said, even in your compound, in the parlor, in the room, in the kitchen, you must have a dustbin in the house. So when you finish eating your biscuits, finish eating your sweet, or whatever, you're licking your sweet, and you finish whatever you want to do, you should go neatly to the dustbin and dispose of any dirt that may be available. Or maybe, some people, when they are in the commercial bus and they are eating, maybe they're eating popcorn, they're eating gala, they're eating maybe even corn, maize. They'll just throw the corn, the cob on the road. That's bad. That's land pollution. You're making the environment very dirty. You're making everywhere dirty. Some people in the school, in the classroom, when the chair is there, they will make the environment very dirty. Even when the chair is not there, well, the chair is there, during break time, if you go to some classes, the place will be very dirty. Why? Because the children in the class don't understand what land pollution means. Now, another way we can make the land dirty is by urinating or excreting on land. Can you look at that? You see that picture? That man is actually urinating on the floor there. So shamelessly doing it. He's not even bothered. That is an example of land pollution. And look at these other people here. Defecating, excreting on the land. Look at it. They're just outside doing it as if they don't have a toilet where they can ease themselves. So this is also an example of land pollution. So oil spillage. Oil spillage, that's when oil flow or pours on land meant for cultivation. When we talk about water pollution, we can still talk about oil spillage on water too, because oil can spill on water and it can also spill on land. But because we are looking at land pollution in this class, we'll be talking about this is when oil flows or pours on land meant for cultivation. Look at this picture here. Oil has poured on this land. That is why you can see there that it's not going to be good for cultivation. Look at this other land here too. So much oil on it. You won't be able to, you can't use this to do any reasonable thing. If you use this to plant, the plants there we attract a lot of chemicals, and it's not good for consumption. This one too, if you plant on this land here, it won't even germinate because the oil will not allow it to grow. That's why a lot of land in the Niger Delta having cases like this in the south because of oil spillage on the land. Now let's go to the effects of land pollution. What is the effect? You know what? If when you talk about effect, you're talking about the consequences, the result of that action that has been taken. Now, what is the consequence or what are the effects of land pollution? Number one, soil pollution. The soil will be polluted. Like I explained to you, you will not be able to plant on it. It's not good for cultivation. Soil pollution, environmental impacts. it will have a very negative impact on the environment. Then effect on human health. Like I said when I told you about the picture of the deaths close to the road. Effect on human health. Those people living in that environment will have problem with their health because germs and different bacteria coming out of that place will become harmful to their health. Then distraction for tourists. Tourists will not be able to come to visit that country or that state where they have a lot of land pollution. Tourists will not want to come. And so there will not be a lot of investment in that state or that nation. And that nation might not be able to progress or that state might not be able to progress. Why? Because there are no investors. Tourists are not coming. Now, effect on wildlife. Animals also will be affected. Yes, because the time these deaths are everywhere, it can affect animals too. They will not be able to grow very well. They die easily. So those are the effects of land pollution. I have some other effects again I will explain to you in the next slide. Now we have more effects on land pollution. It says it makes our surrounding dirty. That is very glaring. The moment you start throwing dirt here and there, the place will be very dirty. You know, when you get to some people's place and they are from the compound, the place is not kept. It's not well kept. So we're talking about making the environment surrounding very dirty. Now increase the spread of communicable diseases. Yes. You know, I told you the other time on the previous slide that it is harmful to humans' health. Communicable diseases can be transferred through land pollution. Now we have, it makes land infertile for farming. Look at, example, it's oil spillage on land. When the oil is spilled on land, the land will be infertile. There's no amount of fertilizer, there's no amount of cultivation, there's no amount of ridges, there's no amount of tractor you want to use on the land. It will not yield any positive increase. Now, it attracts insects and flies, e.g. cockroaches, mosquito, houseflies. Yes, if you find a place where it's very dirty, what do you see there most often? You see cockroaches, you see mosquitoes, you see houseflies, you see bed bugs, you see a lot of things there, a lot of insects. What attracts them? The land has been polluted, the environment is dirty, and that's why a lot of insects are being attracted to that dirty environment. Now you can see the picture of land pollution there. The soil layer is there and it has been affected, so it won't allow plant to grow very well. Now in conclusion, environmental pollution simply means to make something or somewhere dirty or impure. And we also talked about 4 types of environmental pollution. We talked about land pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, and air pollution. And I have something here that says due to land pollution, the earth loses approximately 25 billion tons of valuable topsoil each year. You can see, due to land pollution, look at what the earth loses every year. Approximately 25 billion tons of valuable topsoil every year. So you see, land pollution is really having a negative effect on the topsoil. I'm sure you have been able to learn something today in this class. I want to do a recap of what I have taught you. Now let's go. What is environmental pollution? Can anybody tell me what environmental pollution is all about? Okay, I'm listening. I'm very sure that all of you want to tell me the correct answer. Okay, good. Now mention the types of environmental pollution we have. And I gave you 4. Okay, mention them. Good. Now let's define land pollution. Land pollution is very simple. Just put the land there and then you define it. Good. Now let's give just 2 effects. I give you a lot of them. Just give me 2 effects of land pollution. Communicable disease, infertile land. Good. Very good. Thank you for listening to today's class. I'm sure you have learned a lot. I will be sending the class activity tomorrow and I want you to do it very well. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Bye.